How can you call yourself a real man? What's even more laughable is that you stayed silent before, but while your elder brother was away at war and his life was unknown, you seduced your own sister-in-law, taking advantage of a crisis with no moral line at all. It's truly disgusting. My words cut across Tom's face like knives. He was ashamed and furious, but had nothing to say. Lucy, however, reacted like I'd stepped on her sore spot. She screamed and pointed at me. Anna, stop acting so righteous and making sarcastic remarks. What do you know about being left alone in an empty room? If you got married, and your husband left the very next day for a year or more without even sending a letter, I don't believe you'd be willing to wither away inside those four walls. I gave a disdainful snort, my eyes filled with contempt. Even if I died, I would never be as shameless as you. The reason people are human is because they know propriety, righteousness, integrity, and shame. You ignored every moral boundary and committed adultery. What right do you have to compare yourself to me? That's an insult to me. The old madam had heard enough. She let out a heavy sigh, her eyes full of exhaustion. Enough. You two committed such a disgraceful act inside the Marquis estate and made it the talk of the entire city. I can't control this anymore. She glanced at Lucy's slightly swollen belly. In the end, her heart softened a little. It is the Jack family's bloodline. Tom, since you insist on keeping her, then do as you wish. News has already come from the Anna family. Duke Wei invited the clan elders and opened the ancestral hall. Lucy's name has been removed from both the Anna family register and the clan genealogy. She is now a homeless commoner. When Lucy heard that she had been expelled from her family, it was like being struck by lightning. Her eyes rolled back, and she started crying and thrashing, trying to slam herself into a pillar. Two rough servant women pinned her down. Tom had no choice but to crawl on his knees to the old madam and cling to her leg. Mother, please. Lucy has nowhere to go. Please let her marry me. The old madam struck her cane down and delivered her judgment coldly. A legal wife, she can forget it. Since she's pregnant, let her follow you as a nameless lowly concubine. And there's no need for any ceremony, so you don't embarrass us in public. Go to the accounts office, take some silver, pack your things, and move to the rear side courtyard immediately. Starting today, the brothers will divide the household. The second branch's expenses will be cut off from the family funds. From now on, you're on your own. Tom snapped his head up, his eyes full of disbelief. Divide the family? Mother, I'm your biological son. Is only my elder brother your son? Am I not? How can you be so cruel to me? If I don't marry Lucy, how is she supposed to live? If she just quietly becomes my concubine with no status, won't I be laughed to death whenever I go out to meet people? I cut him off coldly. Little uncle, you're wrong again. If you openly marry a divorced widowed sister-in-law with full ceremony, the Marquis estate will become the biggest joke in the entire capital. You may have no morals and no shame, but the estate and the old madam still need their dignity. After hearing me, Lucy struggled and screamed curses at me. Anna, don't get proud too soon. Jack may be alive now, but he's been poisoned badly and is still unconscious. Even the imperial doctors said it's dangerous. Whether he wakes up or not is another question. Maybe once you marry in, you'll immediately take off your red wedding clothes, put on mourning clothes, and become a real widow. Slap. Without hesitation, I stepped forward and struck her hard across her already injured face. How dare you curse my husband? I snapped, my gaze sharp. Lucy, are you disappointed that I'm not dead? Suddenly, a clear but weak voice, filled with overwhelming authority, came from outside the main hall. My heart jolted and I spun around. A tall, upright figure slowly stepped over the threshold with the support of two personal guards. His brows were sharp, his eyes bright. Though his face was pale and thin from the poison, his dark eyes were still as piercing as cold stars. He wore loose, everyday robes, and the white bandages beneath were faintly visible. It was Marquis Jack, newly awakened, my husband in name. When Tom and Lucy saw Jack appear like the king of hell himself, their legs gave out. They collapsed to the floor together, not daring to raise their heads, shaking like leaves. The old madam excitedly pushed the nanny aside and stumbled toward him. She grabbed Jack's hand, tears pouring down her face. My son, you finally woke up. The doctors said you wouldn't wake for several more days. Why did you get up by yourself? Hurry, help the Marquis sit down. Jack let his mother help him sit in the main seat. He gently patted the back of her hand before slowly turning his gaze toward the two kneeling on the floor. The hall was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. The killing aura he had forged through mountains of corpses and seas of blood pressed down so hard that Tom could barely breathe. Jack's voice was not loud, but every word struck their hearts like a hammer. Lucy, when His Majesty granted the marriage, an emergency broke out at the border. I had to lead the army out the very next day. I knew that trip could easily cost me my life, so I did not consummate the marriage with you. I was afraid that if I never came back, I would ruin your whole life. He looked at Lucy's terrified face, his tone calm enough to be frightening. I remember it clearly. The night before I left, I handed you the household keys and told you myself that you did not have to remain chaste for me. If you felt lonely in the inner chambers, or if you found someone you loved, you could tell my mother and return home to remarry. I had even written the divorce letter in advance, stamped it with my private seal, and placed it in the hidden compartment of my study. Lucy suddenly raised her head, her eyes full of shock. Before I left, I explained every possible way out to you, one by one. I gave you both dignity and freedom. Just as the funeral procession was about to move out and the mourning music was about to play again, a frantic burst of hoofbeats came racing down the official road. A rider shot forward like an arrow off the string, breaking straight through the barricade ahead. The man on the horse was covered in blood, holding a golden command token high as he shouted himself hoarse. 800ly urgent dispatch, Marquis Jack is back! Marquis Jack is back! That shout was like a drop of water hitting boiling oil. The whole place exploded. The messenger cavalryman rushed to the city gate, but his strength gave out, and he fell hard from his horse. Ignoring his wounds, he scrambled forward and dropped to his knees before the emperor. With tears streaming down his face, he cried, "Your Majesty, great victory! The Marquis is alive. He was hit by a poisoned arrow and fell off a cliff. Luckily, a farming family at the foot of the mountain saved him. The Marquis is blessed. He survived, and the poison is temporarily under control. His guards are already escorting him back to the capital. The Marquis is alive!" The emperor shot to his feet, overjoyed. He threw his head back and laughed, then immediately turned and issued an order. "Good, good! Jack is alive. Heaven has protected my great Chu's finest general. Prepare the horses and summon the Imperial Hospital. Every physician must bring the best antidotes and go outside the city at once to meet Minister Jack. No delays." In an instant, the news that Marquis Jack had come back from the dead swept through the city gate like a storm. Everyone snapped out of their grief and erupted into thunderous cheers. "He's alive! The Marquis is alive! This is amazing! Marquis Jack is truly blessed. Surviving this kind of disaster means great fortune is coming. The Emperor has always valued Marquis Jack the most. Now that he survived this, he'll probably be promoted again." I stood frozen in place, holding the memorial tablet. What? Alive? In my last life, Jack was absolutely, completely dead. In the end, they never even found a single bone. So how did he come back alive in this life? Could it be the butterfly effect from my rebirth changed how things were supposed to happen? Before I could even react, my mind still completely blank. The old madam of Marquis Jack's household had already come over, surrounded by a crowd. She grabbed my hand tightly. The fierceness she'd shown while beating Tom was gone. Her eyes were full of warmth and joy. She looked at me like I was some glowing goddess of fertility and praised me again and again. "Good child, you're truly blessed. You had just said you would marry into our Jack family, and then news came that Jack survived. You're the lucky star of our Marquis estate." The old madam patted the back of my hand and declared solemnly, "I only recognize you as my daughter-in-law. Now that Jack is alive, once he comes back and recovers, I will ask the Emperor for permission and personally arrange the grandest wedding for you two. I won't let you suffer even the slightest wrong." She didn't mention Lucy at all, the shameless woman still kneeling in the ancestral hall. In her eyes, I was the daughter-in-law who stepped up in a crisis, saved the estate's reputation, and brought good luck to her husband. Jack returned to the Marquis estate. He was carried into the manor late at night 2 days later. Though his life was saved, the poison had gone deep, and the long journey left him still unconscious. The Emperor sent the chief physician from the Imperial Hospital to stay at the estate personally. The physician said the remaining poison in the Marquis's body had not cleared yet, but thankfully, he was strong. As long as he rested, he would wake once the poison was fully gone. Because of the old madam's orders, and because I carried the Emperor-granted title of Lady Jen, everyone in the Marquis estate treated me with great respect. All the servants had already started calling me madam and obeyed my every word. Even the inner courtyard's keys and authority tokens were handed to me without resistance. Meanwhile, Lucy and Tom had knelt for 3 full days and nights in the cold, damp ancestral hall without a single drop of water. Terrified and exhausted when the servants dragged them out like dead dogs, they barely had half a life left. In the main hall, the old madam sat upright in the grand chair, staring at the 2 trembling figures kneeling below. Her face was full of undisguised disgust. "You 2 wretches, you did something so shameless and disgraced both the Jack family and the Anna family." The old madam looked coldly at Lucy. "Lucy, the Emperor has already made the decision. You've been divorced and expelled. You are no longer part of the Jack family. Go wherever you want. Get out of the Marquis estate right now." Lucy's forehead wound hadn't even healed, and after kneeling for 3 days, she was extremely weak. The moment she heard she was being thrown out, she was scared out of her mind and kept kowtowing as she cried, "Please, mother, have mercy." "No, Lucy is already carrying the second young master's child. My reputation is ruined now, and the Anna family will never take me back. If I walk out this door, death is my only way out. Please, for the sake of the child in my belly, let me stay. Even though Tom had been beaten black and blue by the old madam, he knew that if he abandoned Lucy now, people would curse him even worse. So he pleaded desperately, "Mother, this is all my fault. But the child in Lucy's belly is still the Jack family's bloodline." Lucy and I had feelings for each other from the beginning. It was just a twist of fate. She was miserable, and we simply couldn't help ourselves. Couldn't help yourselves? I picked up the blue and white porcelain teacup beside me, skimmed the foam, and let out a cold, mocking laugh. Second young master, what exactly do you mean by that? If you truly had feelings for my sister, why didn't you risk everything and tell the emperor when the marriage was granted? In the Anna family's generation, there were 5 unmarried, legitimate, and concubine-born daughters. The emperor never named anyone specifically. Did my father hold a knife to my sister's neck and force her to marry into the Marquis estate? My sister did something this disgraceful and dragged the Anna family's century-old reputation through the mud. Are you really saying the Anna family wronged her? Second young master, you keep saying you loved my sister, yet you didn't even have the courage to fight for her once. You're weak, indecisive, and two-faced.